Whoa, we're back with some Bleach Soul Resonance, and you might be wondering when is going to be the best time to start playing Bleach Soul Resonance. There's obviously a lot of hype coming out. If you are someone who's just seen on social media that maybe, true Shikai Ichigo might be coming in, is literally going to be coming in about a month and in like a week and some change. We've got Ulquiorra coming, Segunda Etapa coming. It's a pretty hype time to start the game. It really is. So when should you actually start? Because there's different parameters going around, and I just want to give sort of a, what do I want to say? I want to give a suggestion for people saying, well, maybe I'll just start when Ulquiorra comes out. Maybe I'll just start when True Shikai Ichigo comes out, and we'll extrapolate from there. So we have a week remaining before we get out of this current celebration, and that's what I want to sort of focus on. So a week remaining until we roll in to the actual Ulquiorra portion of the celebration. So let's dive in on a suggestion I have for anyone thinking about returning, for anyone thinking about starting a new account, for anyone thinking about re-rolling. And we're going to be talking about why these things are different in this game versus some other games where you might just want to reroll on the date of the celebration, right? So there are a few key components to sort of starting an account in a gacha game. One is like, what are your reroll options? What are your what's your expenditure? Are you like a low spender? Are you free to play? I'm gonna assume that most people are free to play and speak from that sort of consequence, which means that you don't really have a bunch of capital to just blow the moment you get into a game. You have to earn that over time, and because you have to earn that over time, we have to talk as if that's like a stockpile you need to build. So method one, I would say, is going to be start today. You can see we have 8 days remaining in this celebration. 8 full days in this celebration, which is a lot of time. It is a lot of time. That's 8 days of, what do I want to even say? That's 8 days of content, there we go, to actually pour through without the restriction of, time crunch. 8 days is a ton of time in a gacha game, right? One of the other reasons we sort of like lock in on 8 days is it gives you time to pull White Ichigo. Pulling White Ichigo, maybe even pulling Kenpachi, but specifically, this is for people who want to re-roll, for people who want to start an account. This would be the time to grab essentially a full team. We actually don't have many times where this is possible. So let's say you wanted to start a thrust team from flat. The reality is they're probably not going to run Gin and then run like Mayuri and Nelel. They'll probably run Gin +1. Whereas we are currently in a banner that is a team, which is Ichigo, Kenpachi, and then Urahara, right? That's not how this worked. That's not how this has worked, right? Well, like before, we had Grimjo Soifon, but if you didn't have Mayuri, this isn't the best form of this team. It just isn't. So we are in a unique place, and it goes back. I'm seeing people say it more, which is like TS Ichigo might end up being thrust, which was my suspicion immediately. I said, what if this character is actually thrust? It was a joke at first, but now I'm sort of starting to believe the hype. What if this character is thrust and he ends up being with Mayuri, right? In that case, you still would want to build out a slash team. And so method one is going to be reroll for Kenpachi Ichigo account. Kenpachi Ichigo account would be extremely powerful. You then would collect your Jade, and from there, just grab their weapons. I think the way I would do this is try to get both in as little pulls as possible on a reroll. I mean, arguably, like, you could get the God account and hit both very early. Reminder that you will have more than enough to get Ulquiorra. The reason why Ichigo is another really solid character to start your account with right now, sorry I hit my mic, is Hollow Ichigo doesn't need dupes at all. He doesn't need them at all. So starting on this character, starting on a character like Kenpachi, who also kind of doesn't need dupes. I mean, he would like his dupes. He would definitely like his dupes a lot. It helps gear you forward when it's time to actually, you know, do big content with multiple teams, right? Method 2 is obvious. It's start on Ulquiorra's patch. The reason I would say that this is going to be weird is you will need two characters that will probably be present. So you'll need Zayalapido and you'll need the aforementioned Ulquiorra, right? The issue though is Ulquiorra is a DPS, Zayalapido is a support. So who is your other character? You're gonna use Rukia? You're gonna use, I guess you'd use Yudahara. Like, do you see the problem that sort of is presented? Is that you immediately don't have a team. You do have Ulquiorra. Maybe they'll rerun Aizen again, but now you're pulling for 3 characters. I don't know. I do think it's like a sort of an awkward fit, an awkward spot to pull all of these characters at once. And it's why I'm saying that, weirdly enough, this is probably the best time that we've had during the entire half anniversary to get in and start rerolling an account. And I think a lot of people are going to say, no, it's, you know, you should start at the start, grab Grimjo. But if I'm talking about like what the value of my like day one reroll is, Ichigo, Kenpachi, and Yudahara are a complete team. And that can't be understated when it comes to rerolling. It can't. It really can't. It's one of those times where we just have all of the tools presented to us right there, right? So the second option being reroll for Ulquiorra and probably Zayalapido, who is right here. Zayalapido 1 is extremely good, by the way. Extremely good character. I'm not saying he's not. The issue just becomes who is your tactics character. And in most teams, I would say the tactics character is literally the most important character. I mean, is that not true in every team? Soifon is probably the one exception, but I mean, I would say she's still like, I would say you could make the exception, you could make the argument, but I'm still calling her the most important. Like, it's like you could just make the argument a little better. Whereas like I literally don't think the thrust team exists without Nellel, and I literally don't think the slash team exists without Ichigo, right? And then so on and so forth with like Aizen. Soifon is just an example of like it's because she's not doing like the most damage. She's not like, oh my god, she's missed damage, she's doing all the damage, but she is like all of her counterattacks, all of her support, all of her debuffs. She is essentially, you know what I mean, like the most important character on the team still. I don't know. I think the method 2 of coming in on the Ulquiorra patch, of coming in on the Spirit team, it does look worse to me. It does. I apologize. The other thing that you're sort of missing if you start when Ulquiorra drops is, okay, so now you have to do all of this. 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 You don't have any characters, by the way, because you didn't pull on Kenpachi and White Ichigo. You have Ulquiorra and you have Zayalapido probably. You have to do all of the farming in advance, like at the same time. So your new Ulquiorra that you just got and you want to play with so bad, he has nothing. And you now need to get all of his materials and you need to use all your stamina. And you have to wait days because you don't have any stamina built up. You have to do all of this with no characters. You don't get any chance to get... Actually, this one leaves in 8 days, actually. You don't have any chance to get this, which, you know, arguably, you might not be able to get through this in total, but you're going to miss out on all of these limited rewards because you decide to start, like, when this is about to go away. I don't know. Throw their hands up. You know, just, I don't know. I weigh them out. Weigh them out to me. I think the choice is pretty obvious. The last choice, of course, then, is to start when Ichigo releases. And we can just go down to an Ichigo character. It would be to start here. And I don't think so. I still don't think so. I think starting when True Shikai Ichigo releases is probably the worst method. I would say that this by far has the least amount of value other than the reroll prospect. But if you start a new account and you get all of your rewards and you get all of the rewards from doing adventure and doing story, and you know, we still have like a month. We still have a month and a half even until this character shows up. You would have enough to dupe him. You would have enough to, you know, pull him, weapon, everything. You'd probably build up corridor keys, which you wouldn't have prior. I think the reroll just for True Shikai Ichigo somehow is the weakest because you just have 0 teams. I mean, who are you running this character with? Right? Like, I've said it before, we're going to get True Shikai Ichigo. I think he will be thrust because I do believe it is time for Gin to get the fuck out of here. That said, if he's thrust, then it probably means that Yuryu is thrust. And that probably means that they're going to go on a team together because of like the celebration. Yuryu and Ichigo, of course, being like, you know, sort of like the rival characters in the show. You know, your Goku and your Vegeta, your Naruto, your Sasuke, blah, 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 blah. If that is the case and they want to build up I mean, we're going to see this team transform. You know, it means we might not see Nelel at the top anymore of thrust. We might not see Gin at the top of thrust anymore. We might be seeing a character like, you know, Yuryu take precedent, Ichigo take precedent. Maybe we get Ulquiorra take precedent and then like replace Aizen, who you might not have. And then, you know, it just goes and goes and goes. And yeah, I don't know. That's just some thoughts. I think starting now is the choice. I do. You have a week left. You can reroll. You can build up resources. One of the worst feelings in gacha games ever is to pull a character and you have no stamina and no leveling materials. And then you just like, you put your hands up and you go, well, I pulled this character. I can't even use him. So like, I might as well have not pulled him today. Right. Just a thought. Yeah. Considering you have to get all these too. No. But you can let me know how you feel. You know how you feel. Am I tripping? You know, cap or not. I think it's a pretty good idea. I think it's pretty strong to start right now and get everything you need, you know, built up and saved away so that you can actually start pulling and playing with these characters rather than waiting until last minute. Yeah, you know, you ever have to do like your homework or like a report or an essay or something, and you're like, if I just play games now, I can just do it at the very end. Well, you know what? If you did it at the start, you could have all that time to play games when my hand's disappearing. You had all that time to play games when, you know, you were chilling before, and now you got to race to finish this shit. You got to turn in a crappy product. I think the same way when it comes to gacha games. I think the reroll is very smart at the start, and then the reroll gets a little weird as you sort of need teams to actually do the content. In games where you don't need multiple teams and you just need sort of, you know, pick strongest character. Like in Dokkan Battle, which is another game I play, you don't really need multiple teams. You just need strongest character. For that reason, you can get away with like, oh, I'll just reroll at the anniversary, and then I have the team, and then I use that team to beat everything. And even though you can't beat all of the missions, you can take part in all of the current content. That's not really what's going to happen here. You're going to get filtered by needing multiple teams. So better to start now, level those characters now, and then, you know, you have an entire 3 weeks to level up Ulquiorra. You have an entire 3 weeks to level up, I don't know, Style Lapido and Kenpachi and White Ichigo. You have an entire 3 weeks to gain the resources, and then, you know, level up True Shikai Ichigo and Yuryu and possibly, you know, TYBW Rukia and so on and so forth. That's all it's going to do for me, though. I've been Lone. Like if you like the video, subscribe to the club. We all go make it. And peace.